Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening. Hello, wherever you're coming from. Welcome to the Actors Area Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant, aka Reverend Sean Robert Grant, and I am happy, as always, and thrilled and excited to be here with you today on this beautiful Sunday where I am in beautiful Central Florida. With that being said, before we get into today's message, let's take care of some business here real quick. Want to thank you guys, as always, in advance for your listening, for your interaction, for your chiming in on everything. And so we always appreciate your feedback here over at the Actors Area, as well as your kindness. So with that being said, if you have any questions, any comments, any type of correspondence, please, or you wish to correspond with us in any way, rather, write to shaung04@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So thank you in advance for that. Anything else? Once again, a huge thank you, huge measure of appreciation and gratitude to everybody that's tuning in around the world. It's really been amazing to watch this podcast grow the way that it has, and we're coming up on, I think, 130 episodes total. So, it's pretty remarkable and wonderful to sit in and to understand that every time I've sat here, the intention has always been to offer value, to offer insight, and understanding to a degree of how you can make your career better as an actor and a performer. So thank you in advance for that, guys. Let's get into it today. So today's message, the vibrational actor, acting from a place of value, high resonant value, and service. And so what I put in the description, I was on Instagram the other day, and Simon Sinek, I'm sure you're familiar with him, really, really bright, intelligent guy. He was talking about acting. And so when I saw the subtitles of that video, I tuned in to see what he was saying. And so what was interesting is this is something that I've always felt was important to implement, because what it does is it takes not only the selfishness out of the idea of just accumulating and trying to get as many roles as you possibly can, but it injects or inserts the high vibrational idea that the role that I'm getting is the one that I am meant to be in, because that's the role that I can offer the highest value and the highest amount of service to. And so he basically, in a nutshell, and I want to refine that video because I'll post it back on my Instagram, but he basically, in a nutshell, said that you act from service, right? You act from service because when you allow yourself to act from a place of service, it all of a sudden goes beyond you, okay? Now, what I'm going to add to that, I love that tremendously. What I'm going to add to that is also acting from a place of value, okay? And so tell me this, how many times have you secured an acting role and allowed yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to bring so much value to this role, and I'm going to discover in every way how I can bring value to this role. And now this is a pretty simple and easy question to be able, or statement to answer. If you put it in question form, it's a simple question to answer, but let's do that. What can I do to bring immense value to this role? And the reason why it's simple and easy to answer is because in most cases you just have to be yourself. But what if you went above and beyond to a higher level and said, you know what, I'm going to take it a step further. Yes, I can be myself. Yes, I can be the very best actor that I can be, but what else could I do, maybe even from a production standpoint, that brings value? Now, understand Value means you win and everybody else's win. It doesn't mean you do a whole bunch of stuff and then you're completely drained and empty at the end of the day, right? It has to reciprocate equally from actor to production to cast to whatever it might be. I want to make sure that that point is driven home, because we never have to feel like we have to sacrifice ourselves, because I hate that word sacrifice. I don't hate it, but it just entails that you must give something up in order to have something else. And a lot of people use that very loosely. But the reality is I don't necessarily feel like it has to get that extreme, so to speak. So I really wanted to clarify that idea that, it doesn't have to be about you basically overdoing it to the point where you get out of balance. But I'm talking about coming to a place where you're offering something that can benefit, right? Can benefit a job that you're on. And what's interesting is when we really take the time to ask that question, how can I bring immense value to this production, to this acting role? The amount of ideas that come up are just astounding, right? It's astounding once we open the can of worms up, how many different ideas we can get. And so I found myself doing this for the last couple of years. And the interesting thing is I always get a call back. I always get a call back to work with the productions. And it's because I'm coming from that high place of value, but also a place of service, right? So we've talked a bit about value to begin with and what that looks like or could potentially look like. But now, we need to talk about service. And so just as Simon Sinek says, in the video, you can bring a level of service to your auditions. Okay. In most cases, right, we think, we just have to get the role to be able to bring a level of service. No, imagine taking that perspective from an audition that you got. Okay, I'm going to bring the highest value and highest vibrational value and the ultimate form of kind, empowering service to this audition. And one point I wanted to touch on with this is, which makes it actually a benefit to us as actors and performers. So whenever you do things of service, whenever you become a servant, what happens is the attention is moved off of you, and then it's placed in, it's focused on the act of service, which does something that we all need when it comes down to auditions. And that is, it takes away the nervousness, it takes away the apprehension, it takes away potential fear if you're just getting into this. It takes away the ability to be so caught up in your head that all of a sudden you start fumbling because you can't concentrate. What service does is it gives us a purpose, and it gives us a purpose that is bigger than just us sitting in front of a camera, reciting lines, looking at a paper, trying to connect to something. It goes deeper than the actor, deeper than the casting director and the producers. Now, another reason why this is such a benefit is because it's going to allow you to come off as more poised, as more peaceful, right? Whether it's an audition or a role, it's going to allow you to open yourself up to the truth and the energy of service that is always present. That because ultimately the universe is impeccably, consistently in service to everything within it. That's how it works. So service is a form of love, which is a form of giving, which is one of the highest resonant frequencies that we can experience. So we bring that to something that initially we weren't really sure, right? We weren't really sure if we could bring such spirituality, so to speak, such metaphysical concepts to something such as the idea of acting and auditioning. We bring that in, and then it begins to change and shift everything. And not only change and shift, but transform. And it transmutes and then transcends, once again, fear, worry, nervousness, stress, right? In a lot of cases, if you're just starting with acting, that's one of the hardest things to get past is nervousness, stiffness, not being able to step into your own authenticity. And a lot of that comes from having all the focus on you in the sense of, well, I want to do a great job, well, I want to impress these people, well, I want to book this role, I want to. And it, all the I wannas all of a sudden just takes that energy and hits you in the face. And then you find a lot of times you're fumbling, right? As opposed to say, I'm going to offer the greatest service that I possibly can. The greatest service that I possibly can to this casting director, to this production. I'm going to offer them something that they're at least going to think about entertaining and moving forward with. And who knows what that looks like? It can vary from time to time, what service actually is or what it actually becomes. A lot of times you'd be so surprised it's actually just being a kind person that enables you to be of complete and utter service. Sometimes it's being thorough in your processing of the script. Who knows? It's infinite. It's unlimited. The amount of ways acts of service can come through your acting and your auditioning. But it's important to know that when we make that shift and we understand that we're moving from that place as opposed to gimme, right? It shifts for us too. It in a sense, it balances the playing field where once again, true value, true service is when what? When both sides are reciprocated equally and evenly. Most importantly, everybody wins, right? It's not sacrifice. It's not overcompensation. It's not imbalancing anything. It is truly and utterly a position where everybody benefits. Okay? It's a position where everybody benefits. So there's a possibility that you may be doing this in your life already, doing this in your career already. And if you are, hats off to you, right? But if not, that's okay as well, because this is something that's not always readily available to the consciousness of people in an industry that is so self-focused, individual-focused, right? So especially when you're just beginning. When you're just beginning, I mean, it's all about you. When you begin to expand into it, then you're dealing with it from more of a production standpoint and different people within a production that come together to do a television show, movie, commercial, whatever it may be. But in the beginning, it's so easy to be centered on yourself and thinking, I got to get this. And then also, I didn't talk about this, but another attribute that comes with shifting to the place of service, to the place of value, is you now find yourself being removed from the idea of competing. Okay? Now, if you've ever been, let's say, I can remember a few years ago, I was at the Wasn't Warner Brothers. Maybe it was Warner Brothers, I think. Yeah, I think it was twice I went there. And you go into this waiting room before you actually go into the audition. And you can just read the energy. If you're empathic or anything else, you can kind of pick up on the energy and you can see that it is a straight competition. It's like a pickup basketball game. You go in there because everybody wants the role. Everybody wants that role that you're going for, right? And what's interesting is you'll see familiar faces on television, people who've done it over and over, and you could even read off them. It's a full-on competition to see who's going to get this, right? Who's going to book this. Now, if you're not centered in yourself, right, and you're not poised and at peace, what can happen is you can get swept up in that energy, and all of a sudden you're competing. Now, all growing up, I've played sports and excelled at sports, and sports was all about competition. But what happens with competition is, in competition, at the very core of it, there is something to lose, right? And the moment you have something to lose, you're wiping your energy out. Okay? Say that again. The moment you have something to lose, you're going to do everything possible not to lose. And the truth of the matter is, in the universe we live in, that much energy given to something that you're trying to overcome only perpetuates the strength of it. See what I'm saying? So that means if I go in with a competitive spirit, a competitive attitude, what's happening internally? Well, one, I'm giving my energy to this idea that somebody might beat me out, and I got to do everything possible to beat them out, right? So while I'm focused outside of myself and focused on doing better than the next one, I forget the greatest and most powerful and dynamic purpose in everything that I do as an actor and performer. I forget the idea of why I'm there, right? It goes from not just being an actor and being hired to do a film, right? But it goes from being here to do what I love to I got to beat all these people. And that's something I'm going to do an episode on this, because this shows that how easy it is for us to fall into lack, right? Now, this plagued me a bit beforehand when I first got rolling and first got started. But then I got to a place where I understood what value and service meant. And I understood that whatever roles were for me were going to be for me. So I could go in, I could perform, I could do my thing, and I could wish everybody else in the casting room good luck, right? Best wishes. Hope you do your best, because ultimately it's already divinely designed who's going to get the role. So there's nothing we can do to control that. All we can do is bring that value, bring that service, and not have to worry about competition, but be more focused on creativity and be more focused on bringing the very best product, which is ourselves, to the forefront, and then leaving it all out on the field. Because once we do that, there's nothing else to worry about. There's nothing else to be concerned about. So when you look at some of the greatest, and I'm going to say athletes because I've been an athlete for a long time, and the person that comes to mind initially is Tom Brady. And also I'll say Michael Jordan as well, because the reality about those two individuals is that although they were competitive, right, the competition side of things did not deter from the highest purpose that they were serving in their respective sports. Tom Brady even more so because he was able to get himself to a place where, yes, he wanted to win. Yes, he wanted to compete, but ultimately the value that he was bringing allowed him to focus on himself. And he got to the realization that the only person that could really beat him was himself if he wasn't focused on bringing the highest value, on being in service to his team. And you can see how that turned out. 7 championships over the course of his career. And then the same with Mike. You know, when the outside becomes more important than the objective of what we have within ourselves, and for some, we will never know what Tom Brady's highest objective is or Michael Jordan's highest objective is, but we can see evidence of it, and we know that it has to be something of immense spiritual magnitude to be able to accomplish the things that they've accomplished. That shows us right there that, yes, we want to compete in some ways, but ultimately we want to take that focus and place it on ourselves. We want to take that focus and place it on our ability to bring about the greatest expression of creativity, of service, of value, of love in what we do. And we want to keep that focus there, because when that focus is there, it takes all the energy that can disrupt us or impede us and places it on the work, places it in the midst of the production. And I'm going to tell you, I can tell you just through being intuitive and impactive alone, that is going to put you into consideration for every role that you audition for, because that energy is very rare in a lot of ways, especially in this industry. It's very rare. So it's going to put you in a position to really get an opportunity to participate, you know, and to act in the projects that you want to. So when I started this podcast, it was always more about understanding the underlying vibrational, energetic, spiritual concepts of not just acting, but of life, and implementing that into the work. And I've said this before, you know, so many people give great physical advice. And what I mean by physical is basically how to do your self-tapes, how to do your auditions, how to do your headshots, how to do this, how to do that, all this physical stuff. But that's not the things that are going to make the difference. And in a lot of cases, in my own experience, sometimes it don't even matter, those things, right? You can spend $900 on a headshot and never book one role because of extenuating divine circumstances, right? Divine timing. So it's never about that, but it's more about what's within us and what our spiritual goals are, or our energetic intentions behind what we're doing. And when the intentions are of I would say a high vibrational nature, and all that means is when the energy of those intentions are expansive, that's when we can really begin to see ourselves succeed in magical multitude of ways. That's when we can really see ourselves rise to the highest possible level of not just success, but of fulfillment. And fulfillment comes when you're giving value, when you feel like you're being of service, right? I'm experiencing fulfillment right now because I feel like I'm offering so much value and so much service just by doing this. And that's why I love it, because it helps people to grab a perspective of something they might not have thought of before listening to this. And so that's what's really amazing about being able to express yourself creatively and spiritually on a plane such as this with the podcast and stuff. So last thing here before we get rolling, you know, really dive into that question we talked about earlier, and ask a number of questions. Sometimes pulling out a piece of paper And just writing these questions down and taking a look at them and just really allowing your mind to answer on the deepest level what it means to you to bring value, what it means to you to be of service. Sometimes, right, that it just can shift things in such a powerful way where not only you benefit, but so many other people benefit because you took the time to ask those questions. You took the time to meditate on those questions. You took the time to really stick with those questions and wait for your deeper mind, for your spirit to give you an answer, right? Because when we help ourselves, we're ultimately helping humanity. That's the only reason, like, we love ourselves so we can love humanity better. We become better for ourselves so we can be better for humanity. And that's service in a nutshell. You can, I think personally, actually, I believe and know that the only way we can truly be happy is when we are of some type of service to someone who needs something that we have, that we've been blessed with. And it becomes really ultra powerful to be able to understand the gist of that entire entire concept and method. And so yeah, I think that's all that I have for today. I just wanted to throw that in and ultimately just remember, this is about you, right? Everything is just reflecting you. Everything is reflecting who you are internally to the outer world. So it's important that we make sure that the energy is right, that the energy is in alignment, that the intentions, that the objectives are there and are in complete supportive or completely supportive of who we are and what we stand for, right? If that's the case, no doubt in my mind, one way or another, you're going to succeed, and you're going to succeed in a way that's true to you. Okay. So with that being said, every chance you get as an actor, performer, when you're auditioning, when you're in class, what can I do to bring the highest vibrational value in service to this role, to this opportunity, to what I'm doing now as an actor and performer? If you ask that question, no doubt in my mind, you're going to expand, you're going to grow, and you're going to be fulfilled in this industry, in any industry, to be honest with you. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening in. We appreciate you greatly on the highest possible level. Once again, if you have any questions, any comments, you want to correspond with us, write to shaung04@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. With that being said, happy to be back. Like I said, I get busy sometimes and we just we don't get around to doing these episodes, but I'm really happy when we do. And so I'm very grateful to be able to be in a position to have the chance to do this with you once again. And we're just going to keep chiming them out. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy whatever day it is. If you're listening to this on repeat, thank you in advance once again for your downloads, for your sharing. If you know anybody that can benefit from this podcast, please, by all means, share it with them. It's on my YouTube as well as 7 or different 8 outlets. So all in all, I thank you. I appreciate you. Shining off, Sean Robert Grant, a.k.a. Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Guys, have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.